Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. My co-host, frightened by the cold, is zooming in from Christian Hill. Eileen, how are you? Frozen. Eileen?
She was working a minute ago.
I know.
And muted. Did she mute?
Mike, not Mike.
Eileen Delrossi.
Fru,
No, I didn't.
you didn't what?
Move on, Cliff.
Yeah. Fru Nkimbeng got stuck out in Chicago and over the weekend, and he's feeling under the weather this morning, so he's going to give us a pass. I don't know. We heard from Mike Smith?
Mike's coming in now.
Okay. So it's cold out there. A high of 31 with a real feel of 24. And then the first time I've ever seen this, I must have gone to a different website. In the shade, the real feel is going to be 22. Winds from the west-northwest at 9. Wind gusts at 21. Ultraviolet is at 1, no sweat. Probability of precipitation is 5%. Tonight, 15-degree low. Real feel 0. Partly cloudy. Wind gusts up to 28. 7% chance of precipitation. It's cold. We need to pay attention. So, on this day in 1066, following the death of Edward the Confessor, on the previous day, the Witan, which is sort of the forerunner of the British Parliament, met to confirm Harold Godwin's son as the new King of England. Harold was crowned the same day, sparking a succession crisis that eventually led to the Norman conquest of England in the same year. In 1492, the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella entered Granada at the conclusion of the Granada War. 1492 is a big deal. I mean, we have Columbus sailing the ocean blue, but it starts out with Ferdinand and Isabella, who financed Columbus, concluding their campaign to regain Spain, entering Granada. In 1536, the first European school of higher learning in America, the Colegio de Santa Cruz de Tatalolo, was founded in Mexico City. In 1540, King Henry VIII of England marries Anne of Cleves. So, Eileen, do you follow the many wives of Henry VIII? Apparently not. Mike?
I do not know all the wives of Henry VIII, so can you hear me okay?
I can. How are you, Mike?
Good.
Yeah.
Gonna get cooler down here this week.
Yeah.
Maybe not as cool as you guys, but it's definitely gonna get, they're talking maybe in the 30s or the possibly even the high 20s coming this week.
High 20s? Holy smoke.
That's what they were saying when we were watching the news this morning on the weather. That's what they're talking about. That would be more up by Jacksonville and that, the very northern part of Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get quite that low, but we could get into the 30s where I am.
Yeah, still. Yeah, I'm blaming the Canadians.
I look at it this way. I'm still not worrying about falling on black ice or shoveling snow and having to clear off my car. So I'll deal with it.
I understand. So on this day in 1907, Maria Montessori opens her first school and daycare center for working class children in Rome, Italy. And in
The Montessori schools are still going on. My grandson attended that when he was younger. Montessori school. It was quite good on what they were teaching the kids.
now, is this your grandson in New Zealand?
Yes. Yep.
So it's really spread around the world.
Yep. They've gone. They have all kinds of stuff that goes on. So, yeah.
In 1912, German geophysicist Alfred Wegener first presented his theory of continental drift. I mean, that's hard to believe that the continents drift, but yet there's the scientific proof.
Well, how would they have split apart if they didn't drift some?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you got to follow I'm glad he was able to present it, but it's, there's the only way that they could drift a little bit is if they had split apart to begin with. So that makes sense. They're moving a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, it does. In 1929, Mother Teresa arrives by sea in Calcutta, India, to begin her work among India's poorest and sick people. All right. I had this one especially for John, and he's not here. Stepped out for just a second. 1930, Cleese Cummings arrived in the National Automobile Show in New York City, having driven a car powered by one of his diesel engines from Indianapolis. 1941, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt delivered his For Freedom speech in the State of the Union. Freedom of speech and expression, freedom of worship, freedom from want, freedom from fear. So, John, did you hear about the...
I'm driving a diesel car, yeah.
Yeah, dokey doke. In 1974, in response to the 1973 oil crisis, daylight savings time commences nearly 4 months early in the United States. Is Trump on the right road when he says he's going to do away with daylight savings?
I think it'll be a lot easier. You don't have to keep remembering whether to fall forward or back. It won't. They're saying that it'll be a lot better for people on their sleep cycles too.
So we just fell back, right?
Yes.
So if we didn't fall back, what time would it be right now?
It'll be about 7 o'clock.
So the kids will be standing at the bus stop in this darkness. I don't think mothers will tolerate this. Eileen, representing motherhood, please speak up.
I don't think that's a good idea because kids are picked up at the bus at 6, so it'll be about 7:10. And I see a lot of kids out at the bus stop when I leave for work. So yeah, it would look just like this, 7:10. But doesn't this also align us somehow with the rest of the world in some type of way to make it better for us, Cliff? Is there a theory to that?
I'm not sure. As it is, we have all sorts of different time zones. And
Well, does Europe have daylight saving times, Cliff? You lived over there.
does what?
Europe.
I can't remember.
Understood. I'll ask Google.
All right. That'd be good.
Right. And I know Arizona does not have daylight savings time. Is that correct?
One of those states out there, that's right. And as I recall, at one time Indiana was split in half on this.
Is it up to the states?
I think it's a national decision now. We got time
There are-
zones because of the railroads,
If it
right?
was, that was true, Cliff,
What?
Arizona would be arrested.
There
Only about
are
a third
some
of,
states, guys, that have gotten exemptions, so they didn't have to use daylight savings time.
okay, so we got the answer Google says is only about 1/3 of the world's countries practice daylight savings time. As defined in the United Nations, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Iceland, Russia, and Turkey do not practice daylight savings time. How do you like that? Does France? Yes, they do.
Well, there's a reason not to do it.
Germany, you like Germany. Germany, I think they do because it says UTC and CEST and CET and they got elemental P.
Wait, what was the first one? You what?
Let me look one that had U on it. It's right on your screen there, Cliff.
Yeah, well, I can't read it.
Okay.
UST is
UTC.
universal, yeah. So that's Greenwich Mean Time. The other was, I think, Central European
How
Standard
about
Time.
Spain? Does Spain change the clocks? The last Sunday in March and the last Sunday in October are marked on the red calendar. These days, the clocks have changed. They face the clock to the wall and they go back to bed. Good idea in Spain. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay, and today is the anniversary of the riots on Capitol Hill during the counting of the ballots for the 2020 election. Boy, there's something like 1,500 people in jail still. In 1412...
2 more weeks, Cliff, they'll be out.
In 1412, Joan of Arc was born, French martyr, saint, and banker. She died in 1431. 1745,
I didn't know she was a banker.
well, isn't that Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union downtown?
No, no saint.
Okay. 1745, Jacques Etienne Montgolfier, the French co-inventor of the hot air balloon, was born. 1878, Carl Sandburg, American poet and historian. 1880, Tom Mix, American cowboy and actor. 1912, Jacques Ellul, French philosopher and critic. 1919, Teddy Roosevelt died. And in 2022, Sidney Poitier passed away. So I thought that was, so it looks to me that the judge in the Trump case in New York State, it's a state case, is set sentencing for Friday, January 10th, shortly before inauguration. Then Donald Trump will finally be a convicted felon. Got any thoughts on that, Eileen?
I find that to be very interesting with him elected president now. But I did see a notification come past my phone in regards to one of the judges that found him guilty being disbarred in New York.
Huh. You got any more details, or was that it?
I'll try to find it.
All
Hold
right.
on.
Mike, you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's just a continuation of them trying to do something against Trump. It's not going to go away even when he comes in as president. It's just that I think it's going to be overturned in appeals. But, you know, this judge, he's just not going to let it go. You know, it's New York, it's Alvin Bragg, it's all these guys, you know. Now, this is a state judge.
Yeah,
So
Juan
state
Merchan.
judges- What's that?
Juan Merchan.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
he's a state judge. So state judges can be thrown out of office. They have to be elected. So I'm hoping that the next time he comes up for election, he's not reelected or doesn't run again. But this, I think, is going to be overturned on appeals. It's just going to take time, but I believe it's going to be overturned on appeals.
Okay.
All right. So what it was Donald Trump called for Judge Juan Merchan to be disbarred. That's what I saw. So Trump wants him to be disbarred. So I don't know how that works when he's about to go in for sentencing and to be convicted as a felon, and he's asking him to be disbarred already. So it should be interesting.
Well, he's not going to, from what I'm reading, he's not going to send him to jail or anything like that. And as president, you know, it's interesting that they scheduled this before the inauguration. You know, it's just interesting that they're doing it. Just one more thing to go after him. He's been certified as the new president. He just hasn't taken the oath of office. So,
Today is certification day.
well, he'll be certified. I mean, he's, you know, that's going to happen. I guarantee that. That's not going to be, you know, it's not like where he had to call a couple members of Congress and put the squeeze on them to make sure they elected Johnson as Speaker of the House. But he'll be certified today. There'll be Democrats who won't vote for it, and you know, Republicans have not voted before. It's the way it goes. But I mean, it doesn't matter what this judge does. You know, he could say you're going to be sentenced to life in prison if he wanted to, which would be ridiculous. But if nothing's going to happen, he's president of the United States. He's got immunity with the Supreme Court's decision. So it's going to get overturned on appeal. It's just going to take time.
Can you imagine what it would do to the New York prison system if they put Donald Trump in prison and then 10 Secret Service agents camped out inside the prison?
Well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be. It's just a continuation. I mean, we're going to get to it later on the Presidential Medal of Honor. You know, Presidential Medal, and I have a few comments about that. So.
Oh, okay.
It's just a continuation of this thing, get Trump, and this is their last gasp, I guess. You know, but it's going to get overturned. I'm sure of it.
So, the Justice Department apparently is still going after people from the 6th January 2021. That it's unfortunate. I talked to my lawyer's son last night. We talked about the shooting of Ms. Babbitt 4 years ago. That and my son, a government lawyer, said the shooting was justified, but we both agreed that the shooter probably was not the highly disciplined police officer we would expect. So today is, as we said, the date for the certification of the 2024 election. And fortunately, as Mike said, Mike Johnson was elected, so it can proceed. I'm expecting some Democratic Party hijinks. But it turns out 6 in 10 Republicans have confidence in the counting of 2024 election, so that's on the good side. On the other hand, did you see last night where President Biden described President-elect Trump as a threat to democracy? I mean, is that...
Again?
Yeah. Is that not a call for action?
I didn't see it, Cliff, but I mean, it's just like the same old tired story. You know, they just can't wrap their heads around how he won the election. And that's the big part of the problem that they have. They just have, like, how the heck did this guy get elected again? And, you know, he keeps saying it's a threat to democracy. Well, I mean, Biden's done enough that would be a threat to democracy also. You know, there's wars in the world. He basically enabled the Iran to get strong again by giving them billions of dollars again. It's just, I mean, you want to talk about a threat to democracy. That's a threat. So it's just a last gasp, you know. And Biden, he just can't, you know. I wouldn't be unhappy if he didn't show up for the inauguration or anything like that. That wouldn't bother me at all if he didn't come to that. He needs to go back to Delaware and go back in his basement and stay there.
I just worry he's going to have a stroke and just be gone in an instant.
Well, I believe, but anything can happen. If they certify Trump today as the next president, if something happens to Biden between now and the 20th, like say he had a stroke or died even, technically Kamala Harris could become president. So I'm just hoping he lasts for another 14 days. Then we're good. So anything can happen.
How do you know he hasn't already had a stroke and passed on and they're just dragging him around like Weekend at Bernie's at this point?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that have probably happened to him, but don't worry. Once Trump becomes president and everybody's out of office from his regime, there's going to be leaks. There's going to be books. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. Just like after Reagan left office, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming out on what was going on with Biden. And it's not going to be pretty for the Democratic Party. It's just not going to be pretty at all.
So we have a comment already?
Yes. We got, good morning. It'll be overturned because there's no evidence. Second comment, a little more wordy. Why wouldn't Mike want a judge who upholds the rule of law to be reelected? The sentencing could have been completed, but Trump was given a break by postponing until after the election. Thank you for your comments.
The jury trial, the whole thing was a joke. It was just done to get after Trump. Anybody else, if you really looked into this, with the charge he was charged with, was any other case, they would have just paid a fine, they would have been done with it. They wouldn't have gone to a jury trial. They wouldn't have done all the stuff they did. They only did it because of Trump, and they thought it would hurt him from being reelected. They could have charged him 3 or 4 years ago. They waited to when he was running for president again to do it. It was all calculated, and that's what really makes me upset. This was all political, and it's going to get overturned. You know, I lived in New York my whole life until recently. New York City, I mean, the city is entirely Democratic. I mean, there's very few. The Republican Party in New York is a joke. And I was not shocked at all that the jury convicted Trump. It was biased. They should have moved the venue out of the state even, you know, because it was so biased. There was no surprise, you know, with what they came back with.
The White House has been Weekend at Bernie's for the past 2 years. Thank you for your comments. Back to you, Cliff.
Yeah, the thing that didn't seem right about the trial is 34 charges for one alleged payout.
Hey, did any of you Musketeers watch Donald on YouTube Live yesterday?
No.
he had, and on, fortunately, I gotta turn the camera down here, sorry about that. He had a surprise news conference. He invited all the media that hang around out front. Come on in if you want to ask some questions. He went on for an hour. Magnificent. It's on YouTube. CNN covered it.
He didn't insult the press, did he, like President Biden did yesterday?
So wait, so
It's
if
an
you
hour.
wanted to watch that, hold on, if you wanted to watch that, you just go into regular YouTube and you put in CNN 10 and then Donald Trump.
Yep. No, you just put in, I usually just put in, I usually talk to the thing and say YouTube, live news, and, but you can put YouTube's CNN, and all the CNN stuff will come up on your YouTube. It should anyway.
Okay.
But this morning I had trouble getting City Life out of YouTube. Finally tracked it down, but a little, it's Monday. YouTube, they're off. They're still sleeping in sunny California.
Was that where he announced that he was going to nominate Tammy Bruce to be the spokesperson for the Department of State?
Nobody would, I didn't hear that part, Cliff, but he did say he's suing 60 Minutes. I didn't know that 60 Minutes created a video where they asked Vice President Kamala Harris a question, and they inserted allegedly they inserted a better answer.
Ah,
So he's suing, Trump is suing 60 Minutes.
I'm wondering if there's going to be anyone left at Fox News the way he's pulling people out of there. Tammy Bruce is a substitute host. He's on various panels.
There's plenty of people who want to work at Fox. There's,
Yeah, there'll be plenty of people that they've got people in the wings there that are quite qualified. And, I mean, I know a lot of people are being tapped by Trump from Fox, even though he criticizes Fox News. But, there's another example. He's not going to let, because he doesn't like certain things, get in the way of picking people that he thinks that can get the job done. So it's they've got plenty of people that they'll put in there.
I'm hoping they promote Aisha Hushney. I like her as a newsreader on the Fox News network.
Oh yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that after Donald Trump stirred things up, that the people of Greenland are saying they want to be independent from Denmark. I mean, who would have thought it? The Greenland's Prime Minister, Mut Igidi, emphasized his desire to pursue independence from Denmark, its former colonial ruler, during his New Year's speech, making a significant change in the rhetoric surrounding the Arctic island's future. I've never been to Greenland. My wife's been to Greenland. John, have you ever been to Greenland?
yes. Interesting house, interesting construction. They put dirt on the roof of their houses to keep the roof on during winter, because it's a very harsh climate there. And from the audience, the comment says, CNN is also taking good amount of Fox people. I did not know that.
Oh. I know that a couple people have gone over there. So, if Greenland becomes independent, would we want to create some sort of political relationship with them? Making them a commonwealth or something like that?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to have a good relation when they're near Russia there. So I don't think that would be a bad thing for the United States. but it doesn't look like Denmark's going to let them go. From everything I was reading about that, Denmark's not interested in letting them become independent.
Fox News is just as terrible as the rest of the lamestream media. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. So, the late President Jimmy Carter is en route to Washington, D.C. He's presently in Georgia, and he'll be in repose until tomorrow morning. Then he's heading to Washington, to the U.S. Capitol. His state funeral is Thursday at 10 a.m. at the Washington National Cathedral. Then a return to Plains for interment, for an invitation-only funeral at Maranatha Baptist Church. He'll be buried near his home next to Roslyn. Flags will be at half-staff until the 28th of January. So some funeral directors getting double here with two funerals, huh?
I was watching the funeral yesterday. Watched the procession in hometown. I think it's Anderson, Indiana, or
I know
Anderson,
Anderson,
Georgia. Well, just
Yeah,
near
in Geo-
Plains, and they had two hearses. They had a brand spanking new 2025 S&S hearse, and about 15 vehicles down, there was a 1985 hearse. There's always two hearses on a president's funeral.
Is that so you don't know which one has the president?
No, in case the real one breaks down.
Oh, okay. Anderson, Indiana, that's where my wife's late husband's from.
Oh, okay.
So, just especially for Mike, New York Post, I saw the article, President Biden gave the Medal of Freedom to George Soros and Hillary Clinton and 17 other people whose names I have somewhere.
Lionel Messi was one of them.
I'm not sure they're all worthy of, I
did some research. The first thing, because there's a lot in the news why Lionel Messi got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. According to the stuff I looked up, is you do not need to be a citizen of the United States to get that. So it says the award is not limited to U.S. citizens, and while it is a civilian award, it can also be awarded to military personnel and worn on the uniform. It was established in 1963 by President John F. Kennedy, superseding the Medal of Freedom that was initially established by President Harry S. Truman in 1945 to honor civilian service. And you can also, it can be awarded, as further denoted, with distinction. So the president can decide if they want to award it with distinction. So.
And a comment from out, is Greenland loaded up with liquid gold?
yes,
What is liquid gold? Oil?
oil.
Okay.
It also is believed to have a lot of these rare earth minerals that are important to making little electronic widgets. So, Bono, isn't he Irish, the front man for the U2? Yeah. So, Ralph Lauren, I mean, that raised some interest in my mind. Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, did she get it for not having a cover story on Melania Trump? Is that it? Payoff? You got any other thoughts on this, Mike?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts as far as George Soros and Hillary Clinton. And Lionel Messi. I did some more research. Supposedly they awarded it to Lionel Messi because of his foundation that helps with kids all over the world with education and that. I mean, but he's only been in the United States 3 years since he came to the Miami Soccer Club. And so I guess, maybe President Biden wanted to do something for the Latino, group in the United States. So this was something he was doing in other countries. He's from Argentina, but he didn't even come to the ceremony. So that's how much he thinks of it. So I don't think the only other person who missed the ceremony was George Soros, whose son came there in place of him. Because I believe he's like 93 or 94, and for health reasons. But, George Soros has done more to make things worse in the United States than better. With all his support for all these district attorneys and different groups that are, don't want to even enforce the law. Hillary Clinton, well, I guess, if you get to Bleachbox, an illegal server and do all that stuff, you can get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, I don't care about the other people, even Lionel Messi. I did some research on him. I'm okay with that. But for George Soros and Hillary Clinton to get that award, that just tarnishes it so much.
Well, getting back to Trump yesterday, the comment from the audience, it seems like all donors got awards. Interesting comment. But I was listening to the YouTube thing yesterday with Trump down at Mar-a-Lago. He said he's going to look at the Nobel Peace Prize was given to 2 people and he wants it taken back. So it'll be interesting to see what crops out of his statements from yesterday.
He did get a Republican. He gave it to George W. Romney. He's passed away, former businessman, former Michigan governor, candidate for president. He gave it to Jane Goodall, a renowned primatologist and anthropologist. An interesting collection.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, for George Soros to get that award, that guy has done more to cause disruption and problems in our country than anybody. And here's somebody who came from another country and worked his way up and earned billions of dollars. And from what I'm reading, his son is continuing with his foundation. His son is at the same realm of him on where he thinks the money should go. It just drives me crazy that somebody like that would get the Medal of Freedom. But, I guess Biden could do, the president, he can choose whoever he wants.
Yep.
But
What's
it
his
doesn't mean
say?
that I have to be happy with it.
What's his say?
Hillary Clinton is another one. I mean, this is like their last gasp because they know nothing's going to happen for the next 4 years or even longer, possibly. So,
Got 2 comments from
giving
2 comments from
people help most.
Go ahead, John.
2 comments from the audience. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger
Yes.
should have been given medals of freedom for caring more about America than their political careers. True patriots. Second text, Liz Cheney looked very uncomfortable getting her medal from Biden. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. The city name you were thinking of just came to me slowly. Americus, Georgia.
Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't pull that up earlier.
But I thought it was a real touching photo of his Secret Service delegation walking the hearse down
Yes.
the driveway. It was a
It was.
nicely done.
So, Eileen, did you have anything you wanted to say about the presidential medal? Apparently not. So, the English grooming scandal continues on. Elon Musk weighed in.
What scandal?
English grooming scandal.
What, are they grooming a dog, or what are you talking about?
They were grooming young girls.
For what?
Sex.
So that's what we should always think grooming stands for.
No.
When Englishmen groom somebody, it's only for sex.
It happens in the U.S. too. Some teacher's name pops up about once a month for this kind of activity. I'm not sure I understand your point. Do you want to limit the use of the word grooming?
It was too broad of a term. I thought you were talking about they did something with their dogs, their dog show.
Go ahead, Mark.
Actually, I can give a little bit more information on that because most people who volunteer in organizations now, like myself as a referee, every couple of years we have to redo this update on our background on abuse and sex abuse and all the other stuff. And one of the main things they go over there is to recognize grooming and how that could happen with athletes that are minors. A lot of this came out of the big scandal with the U.S. women's gymnastics team.
Yep.
So this is anybody who does volunteer with youth organizations now or involved in the United States is all getting training and has to go through videos and training to understand all this and how to recognize it. So it's pretty pervasive in a lot of areas. It's not something that's uncommon.
A comment from the audience, disgusting comment about Cheney, Kinzinger. They're not patriots, they are swamp creatures. That's from Jay. Thank you for your comments.
A variety of views.
Well,
And I remember after the Catholic Church scandal, when I used to teach religious education, we had to learn more about the signs of, like, when somebody's trying to take advantage and to, like, how to be very careful in reporting and so forth.
Wasn't that involved in, who's the second case you're following besides,
Oh, Sandra Birchmore. Besides, yes, that was a huge thing because the police officers essentially groomed her to be their victim. 3 police officers, the one that's in jail for her murder now, Matthew Farwell, his brother William, and another sergeant, Robert Devine. Yeah, I believe this has happened throughout all time, but now there's a name for it, and it's called trafficking. That's taking advantage of somebody who's significantly younger than yourself.
see, I think the laws have got to change, and they should have painful execution for pedophiles. End of story. And you know what? They'll smarten up real quick. Latest comment from the audience. Liz Cheney is going to need a Medal of Freedom when the orange guy locks her up for crimes committed. She's not her old man. Back to you, Cliff.
okay.
I would like to know why it took so long for them to be Robert F. Kennedy to be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, you're talking. This is like 60 years after he died. What? No Democratic president thought to award that to him. That kind of shocked me when I looked through the list of people who got the award.
I was double shocked because his son is up for nomination in Trump's cabinet. And I would have thought that the Democrats would not have been trying out his father and giving him an award posthumously. So this grooming scandal in England's been going on for, 20 years, covered it up because the groomers tended to be immigrants from a certain area. The government treated those who objected as if they were prejudiced and ignorant. Parents who tried to get their girls back were arrested. There was a recent previous Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, who did start a task force to tackle the grooming gangs, but the present government is not talking about it. Their Foreign Office, their State Department, won't release statistics on people deported for this kind of activity. And I think the betting is that the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is going to be gone by the end of the year. This is just, it's one of those things where it's a scandal that people have tried to suppress for a long time instead of getting it out in the open and dealing with it and then moving on.
Yeah, it's not unique just to that country. As I said earlier, I mean, the Catholic Church had scandals with that. The Boy Scouts of America had scandals on it. Numerous different sports organizations, United States. I just think the United States was a little bit more of a forefront on that. I mean, I find it hard that it took this long for them to figure that out, with it being very common now. In the States, they've gotten really much stricter on background checks and even fingerprinting people and keeping them in the system to follow them.
Well, I'm hoping that Trump can do something about making all of these organizations work together. And so we'll use the local police, for example. Billerica police do not talk to the Dracut police. They just don't. So I think that if you have, and I'm just picking two towns, I could pick Kingsborough, Tewksbury, I don't care, whatever two towns, they don't talk to one another. So the real easy thing to do is to break into somebody's house, steal their money, and head for Nashua. You're never going to get caught. That's how the system works. Why? Because the police stations don't talk to one another. And I hope he fixes that. The fact that the CIA doesn't talk to the FBI has lost so much of the respect, almost all the respect they ever had. The FBI's in charge. Oh boy, they called in the clowns. And I hope that Trump can fix all these organizations and make them work with one another. Thoughts, Cliff? That got your cackles up.
Well, I just add on to that, John. Supposedly, after 9/11, that was the whole reason why 9/11 occurred, is because the organizations weren't sharing information. So, I mean, if they're still not talking to each other, it's a matter of time before another 9/11 is going to happen then. So I'm not sure how it works in New York City. I know they've got task force, they've got people, they're always, because of the, terrorist threats there. So I'm not sure how well they work with the FBI, Secret Service, or any of that.
Comment from the audience, any chance we'll ever get the Epstein list? I thought it came out.
No,
No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. We still haven't gotten, it was supposed to be released, all the information on the Kennedy assassination. That was supposed to be released, and that still hasn't been released. So I'm not holding my breath to hear anything on the Epstein list. I mean, that got all shoved under the carpet really quick. all those, anything else, anybody else, you would have been saying, what the heck was going on? It's like out of a movie. What happened there? The cameras were off, the guards were not there, and he commits suicide. So he knew way too much, and they didn't want him spilling the beans.
Well, the government is just unanswerable, and television news just lets them do that. I mean, we look at the State House, and you see all these elected officials running down the hallway like they're in a rush. What the hell are they in a rush for? There's a microphone that you can speak to your constituents. Right in front of you, there's a microphone right there. And you're ignoring it. I'm in a rush, I can't be bothered talking to my constituents. That's got to stop. Same thing down in Washington, D.C. I remember sitting down, this is 20 years ago, sitting down with some of my Undertaker buddies in the congressional lunchroom. And there's senators sitting right at the next table talking. Fantastic time. Just go in the lunchroom down there and you can have a hell of a good time.
Well, I mean, that thing with Epstein, it shocked me on how fast the media let that just die. I mean, nobody wanted to, really push to say this makes no sense at all. So you got to wonder how everybody's all tied in on that.
I want to go back to what John said. I absolutely agree, and I hope that President Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence will be able to bring those, something like 15 separate intelligence agencies together and make things work. That's what the job was set up for, and I'm not sure that job's been completed. As for President Trump getting 2 local police departments to talk to each other, I think that A, not likely, B, expensive, and C...
No, it's not, Cliff. No, it's not expensive, okay? For at the beginning of every single shift, okay, they have a shift commander, they all sit down, okay, guys, what's going on? Nothing. Don't get caught sleeping in the cruiser. I'm just picking on the cops, okay? They have a meeting at the beginning of their shift.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the commander having a meeting with all the local police departments. Hey, what's going on? Oh, well, you know what? They burned down, a bunch of hoodlums burned down Zayas. And they ran towards Drake. Oh, what'd they look like? Okay, we'll be on the lookout for that. So if they have a Zoom call with all of the local police stations, what the hell's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Okay, that's
But,
my idea.
John, that's
Cliff?
fine. But to ask that the federal government make it happen means that you're going to have a federal government program. You're going to have federal government oversight.
No, it's simple. It's simple. The federal government
Simple.
buys
Tell
the
me
bullets.
how it's going to be.
The federal government buys the bullets. Either you have a Zoom meeting with all your local police departments 15 minutes before your shift meeting happens, or no more bullets. A comment from the audience. Maybe our
Wait,
government...
before you read that, how are you going to police that? How many people will it take to police that activity by the federal government?
I know a lot of cops.
Good.
Many are tattletales. Maybe our government, the comment from the audience, maybe our government should stop lying to us. That might be a start.
Well,
That's
that would
from
be a
Jay.
start, yeah.
Back to you, Cliff.
The Department of
Well,
Education that's supposed to help us bring all the schools together has got 4,400 employees. That's probably $500 million a year. That's, I think, probably wasted. And it results in mandates that may or may not be of any value. Eileen, for instance, are you there, Eileen?
No, she's not.
Nah, okay.
When she's there, she usually puts her camera on.
So, remember Eileen got drug tested and one of the things
She's back.
I'm here.
Yeah. Didn't you say that you were tested for marijuana down in
Yes.
Methuen? Because it's a federal government thing. It's not a Massachusetts thing. It's a federal government
Well,
thing.
I bet you the Methuen cops are not drug tested, are they?
I don't know. Do they receive federal money?
Yep.
Then they're drug tested.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think every municipal employee needs to be tested.
I think to get your driver's license, you should be tested, but I'm too harsh. Got a couple of comments. Our next president famously partied with Epstein, so the list won't be revealed at least during the next 4 years. How many people in the media are on the Epstein list? The GJT, whoever they are.
Donald J. Trump.
If Donald J. Trump had his name on it, you would definitely have heard about it. That's from Jay. Good points. Thank you. Back to you, Cliff.
All right. So, the two New Year's terror events seem to be unrelated. Yeah, there are a lot of coincidences, including the kid that tried to assassinate Donald Trump up in Pennsylvania had contacted people down in Fort Bragg. So the New Orleans guy was an ISIS affiliated agent, which sees the U.S. as the Great Satan, and the Las Vegas bomb was a depressed soldier who, in his writings, indicated he loves the U.S. So,
Well, Cliff, I think the police department down there should be investigated for their lackluster performance,
oh, absolutely,
and that's never going to happen.
never.
Nope.
They're getting a lot of criticism.
I mean, just for the chief to wear that ugly hat during the press conference and nobody told her, apparently she must have saw herself on TV and said, boy, that hat looks dumb. But she doesn't take any guff from anybody. Don't tell me how to run my police department. Okay, chief.
Do you think that the New Orleans thing was a test run to see how all the local and federal agencies respond to something like this? Because now they're trying to amp up more security because the Super Bowl is in New Orleans this year. So I'm wondering if that could have been a test run by the ISIS group, because they found, if I read the articles right, they found a home that had stuff in it, or it was set on fire. So so there's a lot of things that are going on there. Obviously, they're not releasing everything to the public, but this was not somebody in New Orleans that did it all on his own.
Hey, Mike, we gotta go to break. I'm gonna read this text. What's all the government conspiracy around the Vegas car bomb last week? Something about a bombing back in 2019 in Afghanistan. There were a bunch of civilians killed, and the U.S. covered it up. Did anybody hear about this? So we're going to go off to break land. Thank you for your comment. We'll talk about this when we come back.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. My co-host Eileen Delrossi is zooming in from Christian Hill, getting ready to go to work. We have Mike Smith zooming in from Florida on the Gulf Coast. And we're hoping to have someone zoom in about 7:20 to talk.
I never heard from her.
Ah. And you can't send the Zoom
Yeah, well, I can show
text
you
it?
I can show you the Zoom thing, okay? There's no link to copy and paste. See the top bar there? There's no link to copy and paste.
Huh.
So I can't copy and paste a link into a text to her. I texted her, she did not text back, so she'll look at her phone and she'll send me an email. I'm sure she has an email, so.
Okay.
But that's,
So the weather this morning is cold. We're looking at a high of 31 today, with the feel will be about 24 degrees, wind 9, gust to 21, 5% chance of precipitation. Tonight it's going to 15 with a real feel of 0. Partly cloudy, wind gust to 28, 7% chance of precipitation. So, cold. Eileen, I saw the article that said IA will replace human teachers in a new Arizona charter school. Did you see anything about that?
I'm honestly not surprised, but no, I did not see that. Did you send me that article?
Apparently not. It says here, a teacher should be a guide on the side, not a sage on the stage. And now AI is making it possible. I'm not sure it's a good idea, although...
I think AI in the back of the classroom looking towards the teacher to see who's goofing off and reporting to the teacher, seat 1B is goofing off. I think that would be helpful.
Outbound Academic Institute is going to try this out in Tucson. AI will provide 2 hours of interaction a day, individualized lessons in literature, math, and science to 4th to 8th graders. The human guides will provide emotional support and presumably keep students from goofing off. In the afternoon, students will attend virtual life skills workshops on topics such as financial literacy, public speaking, resilience, critical thinking, led by community mentors who range from local entrepreneurs to civic leaders. That would be a radical change. I like the idea of bringing community mentors in. I think Lowell Public Schools should think about that for kids struggling with reading or math, to have the kids go visit someone for a half hour or an hour after school and get some additional help from some community mentor.
Let's go back to the before. I just got this on Google about that attack that happened in 2019 in Afghanistan. Human rights practices in Afghanistan. Maybe this is what they were talking about. The text brought up the last hour. Let me bring the text
That
up.
could be. Why don't you forward that to me? I'll read it and we'll talk about it Friday.
The text says, what's all this government conspiracy about the Vegas car bomb last week? Something about a bombing attack in 2019 in Afghanistan? There were a bunch of civilians killed in the U.S., covered it up. Did anyone hear about this? So I'll text you this link, Cliff, and we'll talk about it on Friday.
We'll look into that. So, a Draker resident, Barbara Smith, pushed back on the Lowell Sun, which talked about how businesses were leaving Lowell and going to Drake because of homelessness in Lowell. She said the editors correlate the fact that Drake offers no homeless support with businesses moving out of Lowell due to the unpleasant homeless presence. But Lowell already has the homeless support established, and it doesn't make financial sense for budding towns to repeat this effort. Perhaps there needs to be a regional approach, and the state can do more. And then she winds up saying, but unlimited building of market rate units with a few affordable ones included will not solve the problem that has its root in corporate greed, lack of regulation, and influence of special interest money. Unrestricted development is simply not the solution. So, what do you think about that view, Eileen?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is the Purple Carrot downtown Lowell, they still have a shop downtown Lowell, but they just opened one in Drake, who you just made me start to think that, this will be Monday through Saturday, 10 through 6, that they'll slowly actually start moving over to the Drake one, because they've been very prominent at talking at the city council meetings about the vagrancy in the city and how bad it is for just business.
Comment from the audience, the police failed the citizens on Bourbon Street. Why was he able to push a couple of coolers and just leave them out seeing anything? This especially after the Boston bombing. That's from Jay. Good point. Early on, they had video. They didn't show the video, but when I was watching television news, I was watching, went to YouTube and I went local TV in New Orleans, and their local TV station came up and they reported that they had, the police had told them they had a video of 2 men and a woman leaving coolers out with pipe bombs in them. And never heard it again.
I heard about that last night, and they said that they didn't think that these 3 people were involved with the truck driver, that they were innocent civilians just moving things around. So.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yep. So there will be city council this week. There'll be a report from NEMCOG, Northern Middlesex Council Governments. I read the thing. I don't think I'm any smarter for it. We have motions. Eric Gitcher, Proper Department, provide the City Council report on the heating issues at the Pawtucket Memorial School, including all school dude requests. I asked Eric what dude request is, and he says it's basically a work order. It's the local term. And then, go ahead, Eileen.
No, it's something that we asked for to kind of keep track of what the work orders were and how quickly they're being responded to. So it's called School Dude, but I think that may have been the one that they've always had. I really think that they should upgrade it, because when we put in a work ticket in Methuen, we can see where it is throughout the whole time.
Comment from the audience, Merrill Street is one way. How did this happen?
Merrill. That's over here in...
No, that's on Rogers Street. That's the cut through to Fairmount. So apparently that's going to one way. You know anything about that, Cliff? That's over in your neck of the woods.
I went up Merrill Street just for the fun of it 2 days ago. It didn't look like it was one way to me.
That was brought up at a city council meeting a few weeks ago. They were talking about how fragile that street is and how nobody listens. A lot of the drivers don't listen, the truck drivers, where it's not a truck drive-through.
Yes.
And so they may have just decided to... I didn't watch the whole meeting. I only saw the man that lives on that street talking about how dangerous it is. So maybe they did make it a one-way in response to that.
I'll check that out today.
Well, if you don't like it, you have to lump it or call your city councilor. That's the only way you can fix that.
No. The first thing you have to do if you don't like it is get everyone around you to vote, which will attract the attention of your city
That's 2
councilor.
years, that's 2 years right now. If you don't like it, you call your city
It's a
councilor.
year.
If your favorite city councilor is Cliff Krieger, you call your favorite city councilor and say, hey, Cliff, Merrill Street, put it back to 2 ways. Thanks.
The,
Leave it one
the
way.
election's
Thanks.
in 10 months.
I don't want to wait that long, Cliff.
I understand.
This is,
But I'm talking about, do you want to be effective or do you just want to mouth off?
well, this is a talk show, Cliff. To be
That's true.
effective, okay, you can go gather your friends over there quietly. How are you going to gather your friends, Cliff, without using your mouth? I'll wait for the answer. Camera's on you.
All right. The camera's, okay, there we go. Look at this now. The person on Merle Street will get listened to because the tallest line on this chart is in his precinct. And that means that people vote and the city councilors pay attention. If he lived here, why would the city councilor pay attention? It just, the voters have got to get attention of the city councilors by voting.
And Cliff sent me this. I don't know when you want me to put this up, Cliff, but there it is.
Oh, I love this, the hokey pokey. Have you ever danced the hokey pokey?
I know the song.
Okay.
I'm not a dancer. On January 20th, we're doing the hokey pokey. We're putting the right lanes in, taking the left ones out. Very good, Cliff.
I thought it was good. So, Councilor Janess, who I think is John's counselor, and Eric Gitcher, wants the proper department report on recent and continued failures in the new high school athletic center, as well as an action plan for repair and holding the developer accountable for this building and the rest of the project. What's the story with the athletic center, Eileen?
She's coming back in again. She lost connectivity.
Yeah.
I think she's
No,
coming.
I didn't. I actually have to get moving, so I had to go from my computer to my phone, which I did the update on both of them, and it seems to be a lot better. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't
Okay.
know what the update is. All I know is that those prices for the building of the athletic center over on Alumni, or where Rogers is, the Colley Stadium.
Yeah? No.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything. I should ask for an update next next school committee meeting.
I thought you were talking about the new gym at the rejuvenated high school.
Well, that's what he's talking about, yeah.
You talking about the gym or the stadium?
Says new high school athletic center.
Okay, talk about the new rejuvenated high school gym.
Yeah. Corey Robinson, thinking ahead, wants the city manager work with appropriate partners to review our festival and event security protocols and provide the council with any recommended improvements. So this is an effort to avoid a repetition of the Bourbon Street activity. There was a book that came out last year, that Mike's comment made me think about. It's called The Attack by Kurt Schlichter, and it talks about
That the book you gave me?
I may have given that to you, yeah. It talks about a nationwide series of attacks on 3 days by ISIS-like activities, killing a lot of people, doing a lot of damage, and then how we fight back. So if you want to think about how bad it could be if this was just an ISIS trial run down in New Orleans, that book by Kurt Schlichter, The Attack, might be a book that you might find interesting.
Got 2 comments from the audience. First one says, if you drive on Fairmount Street, don't forget to drive around the sinkholes. Your car will. Thank you. Is
Well,
the
that's
street
true.
that bad?
What?
They got a lot of holes there? A lot of
Yes.
holes. Okay.
Fairmount's not a lot of fun.
Call your counselor. Merrill Street is probably the worst street in Lowell. Fairmount Street has been paved Fairmount Street hasn't been paved in 40 years. The intersection at Shed Park, Rogers, and Boylston is a complete disaster. They wasted a small fortune on it. Thank you for your comments. Back to you, Cliff.
I wouldn't describe it as a complete disaster, but it's up there. I think that they spent more money on the Lord Overpass, and I think the Lord Overpass is worse.
The Lord Overpass, I just avoid it.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody else, but the Lord Overpass, when I try to go through the thing, only one time, it was last Friday, that I went through the Lord Overpass and I had all green lights.
Yeah.
I was really happy with that. So the Lord Overpass, apparently we don't know how to adjust the lights, but it doesn't surprise me how
Yeah.
we live in a city where we hire our friends to do the jobs, not people who know how to do them.
Anyway, I want to give a nod to Curry Robinson for making explicit the need to review security arrangements. All
Hey, I got a bunch of announcements I'm going to do, Cliff.
right, go ahead.
So here's a list of all the food pantries somebody sent me. So if you need some food, these are all the places where you can go get free food. And take your phone, walk over to the TV set or the computer, take a picture of this, and you can call them up and talk about your situation and maybe get some free food. So moving right along, today is January 6th, and this is December's lunch menu, so we don't know what we're having for lunch yet. I'll go look and see if I can find a newer calendar on this.
Okay.
Virtual opportunities, if you're looking for a new occupation, and whether it's knowing how to cook, recovery coach training, CDL training, ETM training, there's opportunities over at the Bridge Club. There's a phone number on the screen there. Be in touch with them, and they'll help you out. And if you see the LRTA bus, it's free. It's going to be free until September. So please give it a try. Great service, nice clean buses, friendly drivers. Just give a hearty wave to the bus. The bus will pull over and pick you up and give you a free ride. Those are all the announcements, Cliff. Thank you.
So, there we are. Appointments. There's a bunch of appointments listed for the city council. The point I'd make to people out in the audience is there are these no-pay jobs, I agree. Mostly no-pay jobs or a couple paid jobs, license commission, and I
Just means
think
Tom Golden ran out of friends.
the election commission. If you want, you can look out and the city lists all the jobs, these appointments to various and sundry boards like, isn't there a board for the cemeteries, John?
Yes, there is.
So at some point there'll become a vacancy. You can apply.
I can't. It's against the law.
What?
I cannot serve on a cemetery board. It's against state law.
All right, but you was one of the people out in viewing land. There's for instance, a Council on Aging Board, Citizen Advisory Committee, the Historic Board, the Retirement Board. So I encourage you to look for these things and then put it in an application. I mean, it's easy to think it's all those special people running the city, but actually, to some extent, it's a desperate group of people looking for some help. So there might be a place for you. They're looking for a vote tomorrow to accept $790,000 for a one-year period for use by the police department.
Hey, Cliff, so there's two positions open that they're looking for board members?
No, they're filling them on Tuesday,
They're filling, never mind that.
but there may be other positions open. I didn't go look.
Okay, so, got two comments from the audience. How about the end of the connector? That's a disaster.
Yes,
It's a disaster because the city is too lazy to synchronize the traffic light at the end of Highland Street and Gorham Street. That light should be changed permanently to 45 seconds green for Gorham Street and 15 seconds green for Highland and Elm. And the traffic jam at the end of the connector goes away instantly. I have asked Rita Mercier probably 25 times to do this. She does it every single time. As soon as there's a power outage, it resets the memory of that traffic light system. And I don't usually bring it up during the winter months because it's too cold to get the technicians out there to play with the stuff. But that's just simply the city is too lazy to change those lights out permanently.
so as long as we're talking about the end of the connector, we're going to spend a lot of money and make it worse because they're going to put a rotary there.
Yes, and I'm highly against that because they're taking away two of my neighbors' driveways.
Yes,
And that's yet to be, they're supposed to have, the state is supposed to have one more public hearing where they send deaf people to listen to us. Next comment, I tried the Lord Overpass. Bring a snack, you're gonna be there a while. Roll your windows up, a human hawk tried to grab my snack out of my hands. Interesting comment, thank you.
okay. All right, so back to the city, $790,000. It's for a comprehensive anti-gang and youth violence strategy. So this will fund the Summer Student Police Academy and the Youth Service Program. It'll be given to the Recreation Department in part, the Career Center, Boys and Girls Club. They're going to spread the money around to try and keep youth engaged and on the right path.
How are they gonna check for excellence? They're not gonna do that, right?
Well, I think the easiest way to check is how much gang violence do we have?
Is there anybody gonna check on the excellence that we get out of those different organizations on these issues?
Yeah, we're going to look at whether or not gang violence goes down, and that's excellence.
So who's doing that?
To city council, of course.
It ain't happening, Cliff.
All right.
They're not gonna check and see what happened to the money.
So anyway, city managers asking to be allowed to execute a lease agreement with 495 Chrysler Jeep Dodge for 100 parking spaces in the parking lot of the Martin Alumni Athletic Complex on Rogers Street. So,
No.
no, you don't want to do it? Okay.
Well, that was my question, Cliff, too. Were you asking about that athletic complex? Or
No.
were you asking about the actual gym at the high school?
The actual gym at the high school.
Oh, okay. I have not heard. But I also think with that Martin Athletic Complex at Collie, that should have been planned.
Yeah.
That should have been figured out. I'm sorry for interrupting, John. That's it.
No, that's okay. It's perfectly fine. That's what it's about. So, and now, what I was hoping was that we would have Sarah Singh, who's got a petition before the city council. I was hoping she would be calling in because she has asked the city council.
Is she gonna call?
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping that if she
Because I
can
texted,
Zoom, she call.
I texted her, but no luck.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here with my phone hoping she'll call in. She says, and she's a environmental planner. She works down in Taunton, and she's petitioning the city council, so this is something you as a citizen can do, to change the law to discourage restaurants from indiscriminately handing out plastic utensils. Because she says the majority of such things end up in a landfill, and we're running out of capacity. And she had this graph in her,
You send me that one, Cliff?
I did.
All right.
You're going to look for it, okay. We have a bunch in a kitchen drawer ourselves. My wife says she's keeping them for when we have electric failure. I tried to explain to her, John promised there would never be an electric failure.
How long did your lights go out the other day, Cliff? Is this the projected low capacity?
Yeah,
All right, let me just click on this guy. Make it big.
the,
There you go, lad. Whoop, it's not up on your screen, sorry. This what
All
you're
right.
looking for?
yes, she says that the available capacity's going to drop off around now. And so just trying to fill it up the way we have before is not going to work. And we need to be aware of it. As for electricity, I realize I'm just thinking about my youth, but I remember our neighbors coming over to our house to get their dinners cooked because we had gas heating and they had electric heating. Then the hurricane would come through and they'd lose their electricity, and we were the source of heating for their
That was the
dinner.
early 1900s, 1940, 1950?
1940s and 50s.
So that's changed. This project landfill capacity, we don't use the land. That's the dump. Are you talking about the dump?
Yeah.
We don't put stuff at the dump anymore.
Where do we put it?
It gets trucked to Haverhill and they burn it. We haven't used the landfill.
And where do we put the ash?
Haverhill keeps it.
Yeah, but she's saying overall in the Commonwealth, available places for putting the ash is decreasing.
Oh, I thought that she was talking about, oh, this is all over the state. We don't use the Lowell landfill anymore
Yeah.
at all. So I don't know
True.
why she's speaking to the city council, but that's okay.
So nobody in this hurricane season lost power for a couple days?
I didn't. Did you lose your power for a couple of days, Cliff?
No, but some people in some parts of the country did. We haven't had a real hurricane through here in
Cliff,
years.
I don't, honestly, I only care about the sun rises in Tewksbury and sets in Tingsboro. Those are the only communities I care about. Now, if Tewksbury loses their power for a few days, I'll start belly aching about it. If Lowell loses their power for a couple of days, I'll start belly aching about it. But we lost our power right on Happy Highland Street. We lost our power on Friday. And the power was gone for 20 minutes tops, and it came back on. So I don't think we have the problem that you're talking about. I don't think that happens here in Massachusetts.
I hope you're right.
Well, you live here. You've been living here 20 years, right?
Yeah?
What's the longest you've gone without power?
Well, I don't know, about 6 hours?
So not long enough for you to buy a generator, right?
No.
Now, my sisters live out in
On
Chalmers.
the other hand, long enough for me to appreciate that I have gas, heat, and cooking.
My sisters live out in Chalmers, Chelmsford, and one has a generator. She has a Generac generator, and she loves it. So when somebody hits a tree out there in Chalmers, Chelmsford, and everybody loses their power, my sister Lisa's house is lit up like a Christmas tree. So she's tickled pink with her Generac generator. Automatically, bam.
Anyway, we have a school committee meeting next week. And I am assuming Eileen is on her way to work.
I am. I'm here though. I'm listening.
So, do you have any hints for the school committee meeting next week?
We're going to talk a lot and nothing's going to get solved. How's that?
Yeah,
Believable.
sounds like a plan.
Well, it's just, yeah, I like education is in such a crisis. It truly is. Like, I have no words. I mean,
Well,
I wanted to be part of the solution, but I feel like I've become part of the problem being on the committee and not being able to advocate enough or to in order to be able to like bring attention or having to accept reports that I know may not be perfect or right and then smile and like it just.
Eileen, aren't you guys going to reevaluate Liam Skinner? I'm hearing flack from different school committee members. You guys are going to reevaluate him. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I mean, when Joe Boyd was superintendent, I want to say we evaluated him every year. We haven't evaluated Liam once.
Well, how long's he been in there?
So he was 2023, 23, 24, 24, 25. This would be his second year.
Wow. I thought he was still in his first year. Okay. Because I'm hearing there are some school committee people who want to get rid of him. Any truth to that? You want to name names?
I plead the fifth.
Okay. Back to Cliff.
all right. So, there we are. Are you running again this year, Eileen?
Oh, right? This is the time of year. Like, this is. Wait. No. Do I have to figure that out now?
Well, it's this
Because-
year. You
It's
know,
an odd year, and it's every even year we get it inaugurated. 22, 24. Oh, wow.
yeah, you got to come into the show if you're going to try and solicit money from us for your political run.
You're right. You're right. I have to show face. I'll show face. You know, I never really like understood before how people just keep doing it, but it does become addicting almost in a way like that you can solve like little problems being on the school committee, but the bigger stuff is where we really need to focus. And I think if I do run, I want to look at the bigger fundamental issues in education. But yeah, it's going to take some reflection, thought. And I want better for the city of Lowell. I want better for the kids of Lowell. Especially the populations that are underserved or like not the majority, you know, and it's just want to be smart about it.
Comment from the audience, and it says, how much plastic end up in the ocean after a hurricane hits the mainland? Too much, I would guess, is the answer.
Yes. There are supposedly sort of floating islands of debris out in the ocean.
No, not supposed. They're on satellite shots.
Mike, do you lose electricity very much with hurricanes?
Oh yeah, they when we had the hurricanes, from the damage in that, the people, the places across the street from us, they were without power for over a week. And then we only had half power. They had to fix the other one, so we only had part of our panel box with power. That was only for a couple days. We still had some power. Oh yeah, there were people that went 2 weeks or more without power.
Is power constant down there? No interruptions?
Yes, I have not had any power, except for the hurricane. When we had that, I have not had any issues with power here.
Even during the hot, wicked hot months, you still got no interruptions?
No, I have not had interruptions.
So you're not like Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is a complete disaster. They need to just restart from scratch, and that's not new. This is with Puerto Rico. This has been going on for years. I mean, when they had the last big storm, 2, 3, 4 years ago, their infrastructure is just a disaster. They almost have to start from scratch. So I don't know what they've been doing with any of the federal money they've been getting down there, but it
Hiring their
definitely
friends.
is infrastructure.
Hire their friends. That's what they do.
Well, and then there's Cuba. Cuba's lost electricity.
Well, I can't comment on Cuba. I don't, I know that they have issues there. But Puerto Rico, which is a territory still of the United States, I mean, it's the corruption down there, and I mean, it's just a disaster on their infrastructure. I mean, the only way you can have constant power down there in Puerto Rico is you have to have your own self-generate, like solar panels or whatever, wind turbines on your own place to be assured you might have power all the time. Because down there they've got not just brownouts, they've got blackouts all the time down there.
Oh. So, yeah. Hey, today is the big day in New York City where they do congestion pricing. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mike?
Again, say that again. I couldn't hear all of it.
Today's the day that New York City starts congestion pricing. It's going to cost you $9
yeah.
to drive down into Manhattan.
Yeah, I know about that. What a joke. I mean, it's just another money grab for New York City. I mean, I guess because the subways are so unsafe to ride that people decide to drive into New York City and park there, which costs a fortune. I mean, people are paying $1,000 a month or more just to have a parking place in a parking garage. But yeah, it's just another money grab because the finances in New York City are just in big trouble.
Yeah. Maybe we can take a look at it next Monday and see how it worked the first week. Those poor people.
Got a question for Mike, and the audience puts this out there, and I'll stretch it out so you can see it. Mike, is electricity more expensive down in Florida or the same as in New York?
Well, I guess it depends on where you live in New York. I mean, in New York City, it's pretty expensive. For our place, I mean, we don't have a big place. It's only about 1,000 square feet when we downsized. When we were gone from April until we came back, it was under $100 a month, and we kept our place at about 80, because we weren't down here. Since we've come down, our bills are still not over $100 a month for electricity, and we don't have gas where we are, so everything's electric, hot water to everything. So we're waiting to see this coming month when we've had to turn on the heat a little bit more on how much it's going to be.
What was your electric bill up in New York?
We've been less than $100 a month.
Mike, up in New York, what was your electric bill?
Oh, well, now that was a lot more. Between the gas and electric, I mean, during the summertime there with running the ACs and stuff, it was usually over $200 a month. So, and during the winter, I mean, we didn't spend our winters up there, so it's hard to say how much it would have cost us. I wouldn't have been surprised if it cost us $200 or more, over $200 a month, if we had been staying in the winter in New York.
Back to Cliff.
Okay, I saw a news article on an extreme form of DoorDash, and this was they focused on a person, Marciana Cabrera, and when she misses home-cooked meals from her native Guatemala, she's in D.C., she places orders for food delivery from Guatemala. She says she does it probably 5 times a year, and of course at Christmas. And it costs $113 to get a meal delivered to her with all of her favorite Guatemalan activities. A fish smoked mojara from the Guatemala's Pacific coast, paloy de frijoles, which are red kidney beans, jam-filled pastries, those kinds of things. And I thought that's kind of interesting that there's a guy who's making a profit by putting together food. This guy, Mike Chavez, 36, he puts together 44 orders, and then he flies that up and delivers it and collects his money and goes home. So someone's making a profit doing DoorDash from Guatemala to Washington, D.C. Does that make you? Go ahead, Eileen.
No, I was just going to say that is extreme DoorDash, but people have the money and they really want the experience. I mean, that's their thing. Sounds interesting.
That's what money's for, to have your experience. Do you have anything delivered down from Canada, Mike, for Kathy?
Well, I mean, people mail cards and that. We didn't have. Well, I haven't checked. I'm going to check this week to see if we can start mailing stuff to Canada again. Because even though the postal strike had ended, it ended in late December, I think. They said the U.S. Postal Service wasn't going to allow anything to be mailed to Canada for at least 2 weeks to catch up on all the backlog.
Oh.
Oh, wow. No, but Mike, Cliff is saying, like, will you do extreme DoorDash for Kathy and get her the best crepe, maybe, and get it delivered down to her? Because that's just the question he wants to ask right now.
No, we don't do any. We don't do any DoorDash. I can literally, it's literally like a quarter mile at the most for me to walk to the grocery store from where we live. There's literally, on one side of the main avenue there is a Walmart. Around the corner from us is an Aldi's. We don't do any DoorDash.
Hey, 2 more comments from the audience. Imagine spending an extra $9 to visit a place as downtrodden as New York City. Interesting comment. Next comment. They're doing it because they need the revenue. Don't go to New York. It's not safe there, especially from the politicians. That's from Jay. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. So, remember when the guy executed the healthcare CEO in New York City?
Yes.
And there was a poll, and I don't think we've discussed this before. 41% of young voters find the killing of the CEO acceptable. I mean, is healthcare that bad?
No. No.
The executive,
never-
go ahead, Eileen.
I was just going to say murder should never be acceptable. I mean, you don't have the right to take anybody's life because you're unhappy, but that's the extremist way that we've raised a new society of human beings, unfortunately.
So, cutting the poll a different way, 22% of Democrats found the killing acceptable, 16% of independents, and 12% of Republicans. I'm shocked and disappointed. I think killing other individuals as a solution to your problem is unacceptable. Just like Mr. Jabber down in New Orleans, killing 14 people, unacceptable.
I got two announcements. One is regarding tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show, Bobby Hoey's going to be here, Ned Tommy, Tom Bommel, and Tony Archinsky, one of our favorite selectmen out in delightful Dracut. He's coming tomorrow too at 7. And page 2, I did get a copy of the January lunch menu for the Lowell Senior Center. The Lowell Senior Center serves lunch 7 days a week, except for holidays. So today is stuffed peppers. Today is the 6th of January. And stuffed peppers is the deal. Go over there around 10:30, plunk down your $2. If you don't have the $2, just tell Tara you don't got the money and she'll give you a meal ticket anyway. And sit down, and the feed bag comes out at 11. And you're walking out of there at 11:30. You're walking out of there before 12 unless you're a gas bag like me. And that's the menu for the whole month. Back to you, Cliff. Thank you.
Okay, so I was asked this question a couple weeks ago, that apparently some restaurants are adding a little charge if you use a credit card. Do you find that acceptable? What do you think, Mike? Is that an okay thing for restaurants to add a charge for using, like gas stations do? If you go to a gas station, gas is more expensive if you use a credit card?
As long as they tell you.
Well, I know that there's restaurants that do that down here in Florida. Yeah, but you pay less. They'll have it that you pay less for cash and more if you use a credit card. It's not real common. You don't find that at any of the chain restaurants. Where I found it at some of the small business restaurants, small, family-owned restaurants. They'll do that at some of the restaurants. I understand why they do that, because sometimes it's, they cost them another 3 or 4% per credit card, that they've got to eat, and they have a tight margin.
Yeah, I sort of think about it like when I go to a cash flow machine, an ATM. If I go to my own bank, there's no charge. If I go to some other bank, it'll cost me $2.50 or $3 to take money out. So I'm covering their cost. I don't know, maybe the audience has some thoughts on this. I guess I don't like it, but I understand it. So,
All right, I'm going to take this moment to say goodbye. I have to go and do my real job, but I hope you guys all have a great day, a great week, and stay warm.
wait, this is your real job? You're just doing that for pin money.
Exactly. Thank you, Cliff, for clarifying.
Okay. Bye-bye, Eileen.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye.
So, Mike, I saw something that I've been holding for a couple months now that I found interesting, that scientists taught pet parrots to video call each other. And it turns out the birds love it. The wild parrots tend to fly in flocks, and when kept as single pets, they become lonely and bored. So now they know how to do video calls to each other, and they actually peck on a button and they can squawk at each other. I found that interesting.
Well, I mean, humans are social animals. That we want to be around other humans. Birds want to be around other birds. So, I mean, it's not like you and I can talk to them and communicate with them. Maybe in the future, but so I guess if they can talk to the other birds, makes them feel better. So, nothing surprises me. Every time I think I'm surprised by something, something else happens. So it doesn't surprise me that they've been able to do that.
So one of President Trump's big pushes is for a Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. He's got Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy helping him with that. But we've had this before. We had the Herbert Hoover was brought in, the Hoover Commission, to make government more efficient. But I think that it's going to happen if we eliminate departments like Department of Education, which really seems to me about funneling money down to the states and the local communities. I mean, their fiscal 2024 budget request was $90 billion discretionary funding for the Department of Education. And that was $10.8 billion up from 2023. That's a lot of money. On the other hand, our international ranking in education, we're 13 behind Iceland, Germany, New Zealand, Norway, those kinds of places. We had decimal 883 out of 1, which is what, a high B maybe? I don't know. So
this is, like you said, this has been tried before. The only way this is going to work is if they do something about the commission, what they come in with their suggestions. Obviously, they can only put in what they feel should be done. It's up to the House and the Senate and the President to do something about it. The problem is all these congressmen and senators have in their areas, they want to get these pet projects done that helps them get reelected. So hopefully, if Trump can somehow convince them all that you're going to have to eat it, basically, and not get all the extra perks to get things under control, then it'll be successful. And I think Trump has got some leverage there. And, he did that to get Johnson elected as Speaker. Musk takes an interesting way of looking at things. Hiring a lot of people, which the federal government does to tackle problems, is not the way he looks at things. I read a recent article, and the way he hires people, he'd rather hire 10 people than 100 and hire the best people and get things done. They're more nimble, they can a lot easier to communicate. So if somehow they can downsize the federal government to better people, then they probably will get stuff done. But that remains to be seen. But I've heard a lot of comments lately and people around us saying, "Oh, Musk is running. He's running like the president." And I laughed because nobody runs Trump, so he makes the decision. But I think that Musk meeting with Trump and spending more time, I think they have a plan in place that where they're going to go, but they're going to have to get the Congress and the Senate to do it and to do it quickly, because I've seen time and time again they pass things and then they don't do anything on it for 5 years, and by then it's too late, even though they have the money and the stuff to do it with.
John, you got a couple of texts?
Yes, we do. First one's from our good friend Mike Sawyer. He says, fabulous show today. Thanks very much. Mike Sawyer, all compliments. Thanks very much, Mike. Appreciate that. And moving right along, we got margins are tight in the food business. There's an extra 3/4% on almost all transactions to the bank. It's tough to keep eating. Make cash great again. Most of the time of year, most of the time, if you hear a male cardinal or a female cardinal close by, to your point flowers. Don't know what that means, but back to you, Cliff. Those are all the comments.
That was to me, and yes, we have cardinals right outside our kitchen window, males and females, and they talk to each other. Back to the Department of Education for just a second. I made a back of the envelope look at it. They have approximately 4,400 employees to disperse money around the country and to make sure that schools check people for marijuana use and other petty little impositions. And if you figure that...
So, Cliff, that you're meaning that it's okay to be a teacher and be smoking marijuana in class? That's okay with you? Is that what you meant?
No, that's not what I meant, John.
Oh, okay. That's what
But
my takeaway
Good
was.
move. Good move. But what I'm saying is, if the Commonwealth, those people down there on Beacon Hill, don't want to make it an issue, why should the federal government come in and make it an issue?
Cliff,
John?
working and being high, operating a motor vehicle and being high, is it at all-time high? There's no test that's available to the police department if you're driving high on marijuana. There's no test available for it.
Yeah,
It's something.
True.
There's something we should look.
it's all true.
There are a lot of cars driving along that they got. If they have their windows down today, rest assured they're smoking marijuana.
Okay, John, but the question is, do you want to destroy the Constitution to deal with marijuana smokers?
I want to save lives.
Yes or no?
I want to.
Yes or no?
Hey, I'm going to give you a Fru answer. I want to save lives. That's a Fru answer.
So, you want the federal government to stick its oar in the state's water?
Sure.
See, I think that that's terrible, and that's how you get expensive federal government. Let the state do the state's business.
Well, do you think the Commonwealth is doing a great job, Cliff? Well, we have state police this morning sitting in a median strip sleeping because they have a shift tonight guarding a construction crew.
You want to take a stand with me?
I think the solution to that is people need to run against Vanna Howard, and they need to run it.
I remember, okay, we had, this goes way back to when Kevin Murphy was a state rep. This is in the Wayback Machine. And so I was trying to get a tour of the state police dispatch center. They were not interested. I said, well, okay, Kevin Murphy wants a tour of the thing. They wouldn't even let Kevin Murphy in to tour there. The state police is high and mighty. Nobody's coming after us. And I'm sure if I talk much more about what's the matter? We're out of
I'm
time?
waving goodbye to everyone.
Okay, bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Thanks. Wasn't watching the clock.